Yeah, cold air, bright flame, hit a crest when we enter. When the crest covers, circle tight, we remember. Power in the whispers, protection in the spell. Ancient in our bloodline, yeah, we know it well. Strong minds, strong hearts, every sigil intentional. Love keeps us guarded, magic multi-dimensional. We rise together, no throne, no lone caster. Sisters and brothers, every spell cast faster. Ice in the wind, but the bonds stay warm. Through shadow and storm, we transform. This ain't fear, this is faith in motion. When the crest covered, strength, love, devotion.
You're listening to the Winter Crest podcast, and I'm your host, Paul Amayara Fu. I go by Abijah, and I am so privileged and blessed of the goddess to be able to talk with you this way. Now, it's the wee hours of the morning, and I was doing some things around the house and talking with a very special witch about some of the things that was concerning me. Her name is Jasmine Orenda. Y'all can seek her out on Facebook and her other different exploits within the magical community. And we were talking about WitchCon coming up. And while I was, and there were several things that crossed my mind concerning the magical community. One of the things is I started to look at the presenters that's going to be there at WitchCon. And it looked like it's going to be a great array of good teachers. And I was looking at some of the views that many of them have on Facebook, and it was somewhat disappointing. You know, we had very few views of some of the greatest teachers in the world. And with all the witches in the world, and this is predicted by the Census Bureau and others, that there's about 1 million witches in the United States alone. Now, we're not talking about Canada and Mexico. We're not talking about England. We're talking about the United States alone, 1 million witches. And out of the 1 million witches, we had some of these teachers only had about 130 views. Now, how sad is that? If you look at the Wintercrest Coven YouTube channel and the Candle and the Cross and Candlelight YouTube channels, we're making those numbers in days and months, and that's because the people of Wintercrest Coven takes serious teaching. We desire to be taught, and we desire to hear the teaching to make the craft stronger. And it's sad that the wider magical world can patronize other things rather than our own community. Now, there was a witch that contacted me on Facebook, and she said that she wants to patronize us, to help us, to assist. And I've been in contact with the lady, but I don't know from what aspect she's trying to do that with. And I will talk to her later. However, for the wider magical world, it just seems as if we should want to support our own, even if you don't agree with everything that some of us say. And we don't encourage you to agree with everything. But it just seems as if we should want to do that we should want to reach out, that we should want to support. You know, we should want to support with our time, with our dollars. We should want to support. And you don't have no problem supporting Walmart. You have no problem supporting Burger King. Those magical content creators, they need your support. They need you to step up to the bat and send them $5, send them $10. Aid them in their magical exploits. There's a scripture in the Bible that says, where a person's heart is, their treasure is also there. So there's a lot of problems inside of the magical community that we got to deal with, especially when it comes to our own and supporting our own. And that's just one thing that I was thinking about. The other thing, and the thing we're getting ready to talk about, I and Orenda, who's my guest on tonight. You might as well get closer to this mic. We're sharing a mic, so we're gonna have to. If you hear some noise, it's us shifting the mic. And so if she talks real quiet, it's not our fault. We only have one mic. She just ain't talking, okay? But hopefully she talks loud. All right. So now, one of the things that also hurts the craft is all of the division within the craft, and that's really how Wintercrest was birthed, is to create a canopy to get rid of division. There are so many female witches who thinks that a witch is only a woman in total control of herself. And when I pass by these things on Facebook and other places, I write, no, a witch is one, female or male, who practices witchcraft. That's what a witch is. And so we got to talking about that and some of the other things that are plaguing our communities. And hopefully we cover some of them tonight. And she's going to be a regular on there. She can rant really, really well. So if she gets started, she can go. And hopefully we can start turning the tide to some of these things and create a magical community of all kinds of witches that agree on supporting each other, that agree on assisting each other, that agree on helping each other. If you have a book out there that you've printed, I don't have to agree with everything in a book, but I should buy the book just because it's from our community. If you have something out there that you're pushing and doing, I should support, and if I can't support the way you want me to, I should send some type of love offering or some type of offering to assist you in that endeavor. That's one of the things Christianity has over magic kind. You see these beautiful edifices and these beautiful buildings on the side of the corner and places like that. And that's because they don't mind supporting what they believe in. Not every church is swindling the people out of money. Some people just give because they truly believe in the cause. Some people do that. They give because they truly believe in the cause. And if you believe in the cause of the craft, if you believe in the cause of magic, buy the book. Support the pagan occult shop, even if you have one. Go in and buy a book. Help your brothers and sisters out. That's just my opinion. What say you?
I definitely agree. I think that there is a
She's
lot.
talking quietly, y'all.
I definitely
Thank
agree.
you. That's a lot better.
Well, I can't hear my levels. I definitely agree. I think that there is so much division in the magical community, and I have a problem with feminists who want to claim witch as just for women. I have a problem with that. I've seen and I've heard things that feminist witches say, and you can be. I'm not saying that a woman shouldn't be a feminist, but I am saying that I do have a problem if your feminism is turning into misandry against men who are also magical practitioners. Like if you have your own personal issues with men or men in your life or whatever, seek therapy, do some shadow work, do whatever you need to do. But men who are magical practitioners that want to call themselves a witch and them being yelled at and screamed at by feminist witches saying that you can't do that, you're a wizard or you're a warlock, that is just so stupid to me. And it is such an insult in the face of Gerald Gardner and all
Who,
of the
who claimed to be a witch?
who
Who
was a
claimed?
witch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gerald Gardner and Scott Cunningham and all of these males who were witches,
Buckland.
Raymond Buckland, and all of these male witches who have set foundation for the magic that we practice now. You may not practice exactly like Gerald Gardner or Raymond Buckland or the Alexandrian tradition, but these men who are witches set a precedent and a foundation for the magic that you practice now. Gerald Gardner widened the scope of people who will be able to practice now. If you were not in some initiated into, that's my phone. If you were not initiated into some coven from your grandparents or your mother or somebody who initiated you, you wouldn't have no access to witchcraft in the way that you know it now. Gerald Gardner was one of the founders who brought witchcraft to a wide scale where more people would have access to it, because before then it was a secret. It was an occult tradition. It was secrecy covens. And if you weren't initiated in, if you weren't in the bloodline, if you didn't know somebody in the circle, you wouldn't have no knowledge of that coven's traditions or that coven's rituals. So it's so frustrating. I get so angry when I see these posts of a witch is a woman. Every woman is a witch. No, every woman is not a witch. That is false. That is incorrect. Nothing is true about that. That is the equivalent of saying every man is a father. Every man is not a father. A man is a father when he fathers children, period. You're not born a father. Some men will never be fathers. By choice, by force, whatever. Some women will never be witches by choice, by force, whatever. But a woman just automatically being a witch is incorrect. That is not what makes you a witch. You are a witch, male, female, whatever other gender you want to call yourself. You are a witch when you practice witchcraft, period. I don't care what is underneath your robe. You are a witch, male or female or male, when you practice witchcraft. Being a woman does not make you a witch.
I agree completely. We have so much division and infighting inside of the magical community, and we really have to stop the nonsense. Even like in the hoodoo area, and I do a lot of hoodoo work, there are a faction of them that believe that witches are evil, but they cast spells themselves. Okay? What we're doing is we're letting people that hate us define us. If you are doing witchery, you are doing witchcraft. And you can call yourself whatever you want to. We have no qualms with that. Call yourself whatever you want to call yourself. If you want to call yourself warlock, we have Christian Day is a friend. We have no problems with Christian. Okay? What I'm saying is you do not have the right to dictate to me what my path is, especially using a muggle like Webster to define me. In my opinion, we have to understand that certain Christians, they're damning all of us to hell. They don't delineate the difference between hoodoo, light work, mediumship, psychic abilities. No, they say you're all going. You all are evil. And we should take a page out of their book and realize that we basically all the same. We're wanting spiritual power to effectuate a change in our lives that benefit us. And that's what we want. We want fellowship. We want a brother and sisterhood, a sister and a brotherhood, where we can come together and grow spiritually. Personally, I don't, you have these closed systems, you have open systems. I don't believe in closed and open systems. I think whosoever will, let them come. Okay? And once we start doing that, in my opinion, I think we'll be better for the wear. We have too many isolated brothers and sisters. And like my sister Orenda was telling us, the thing that have isolated us so much is this feminist battle between masculinity. So, and masculinity has done, people have done bad things in the name of masculinity. Masculinity hasn't really done nothing, just like femininity hasn't done anything. In fact, when you really diagnose the individual correctly, every person has both femininity and masculinity within their body's temple. Every person. So we need to kind of get out of this tug of war stuff and get into cooperating and working together and unifying and doing the best we can to support one another. And in doing that, I think the greater days of magic is ahead of us.
I agree, and I support everything that you just said. I think that it's important for us to really recognize that no matter your magical path, we are, if you practice magic, you're in the magical world. And people, especially from dogmatic faiths, will not accept you fully. You have some branches, maybe Unitarian and a few churches who are more liberal in their thinking, but the majority of dogmatic religions think that you're evil, think that you're going to hell, think that you're going to be damned in whatever their idea or their version of hell is. They think that you're a sinner. You could have committed no wrong, but they automatically judge you as that. So we already have the bombardment from dogmatic beliefs coming against us. Why do we want to do that to each other? Why would we want to do that to our brothers and sisters? To squabble about what you can and can't call yourself. Now, magic is supposed to be about liberty and freedom, but you're going to tell somebody what they can and can't call themselves. Now, you, as whatever practitioner you are, if you're a man and you choose not to call yourself a witch, that's your prerogative, but that's a choice that you made. If you're a woman and you choose to call yourself a witch or you choose not to call yourself a witch, as long as you have made that choice, that's your choice and that's your freedom to do that. That's your liberty to do that. You're at your liberty to do that. You're not at your liberty to condemn somebody else and tell them what they can and cannot call themselves. That's not your place. And in a path of freedom and in a path of liberty and connecting to divinity, how dare you try to tell a man that he can't connect to the divine and call himself a witch? That's not your place. That's not your right to do that. So I think that there is so much division that we're bringing over from Muggle traditions. And like Abijah was saying, from Webster. Webster didn't have any knowledge of the etymology of Wicca or Wiccan or where the term witch comes from. He didn't know. He didn't have no clue. He had in his own mind what he thought a witch was, and he put that it was a woman. That's not historically accurate. But people run with it because it's in Webster. Webster, just because it's put in a book don't mean it's right. And just because you have your own notions of what you think a witch is based on Webster or what you saw in a movie, it don't make that right either. You have to explore truth. We have to look at truth. We have to look at truth and embrace truth. You cannot discard Gerald Gardner. You cannot discard Scott Cunningham. You cannot discard Raymond Buckland and all of the male witches. We cannot be acting like MAGA trying to make alternative history. These men are witches, lived as witches, transitioned into the next ideation as witches. They were not warlocks. They did not call themselves warlocks. That means oathbreaker. They were not wizards. They didn't call themselves wizards. They called themselves witches. And I think it is a disgrace and a dishonor to their memory for you to say that a man cannot be a witch when you're looking at the history of magic and there are male witches. That's disgraceful.
One quick correction there. Some say that warlock is called oath breakers. There are a group of warlocks that says that term was taken out of context. So we don't want to offend none of those that are sincerely practicing the craft. I know Christian Day is one of them that says that you cannot prove that the name warlock is a negative term or an oath breaker. He says that's what they said it meant. Oh. And that's what now I don't know about that. Okay, I identify as a witch. Star Ann Ravenhawk, a friend of mine, had a wonderful teaching. I believe it's still up on YouTube about what a witch is and how witcha meant male witch, and Wicca was taken from that term. So Wicca really is referring to male witches, but we're not fighting about that. All right. And I think we do each other a great disservice in trying to say what you can and what you can call yourself. So, I'm not going to, because of what Christian Daniel said, I'm not going to um, um, say that warlock means oath breaker no more, because I don't really know the etymology of it all. I don't know if you want to recant that or not. It's up to you. If you do, we'll still be friends. If you don't,
Yeah.
okay, you want to recant that publicly?
Yeah, so I don't know the full etymology of warlock. I've seen different descriptions of it, meaning that, but if they have some more information that I don't know, I have not done a didactic study on it. So I'm not going to say definitively that if somebody wants to call themselves a warlock that they are an oath breaker. I don't know that. If I am saying, I am arguing the point that a person should be able to call themselves whatever they want to call themselves. So if a magical practitioner wants to call themselves a warlock, they can call themselves that. And I have no problem with that. I am not going to assume anything about them based on what they call themselves. I am arguing for the freedom to identify yourself the way you want to. If that means you call yourself a wizard, a witch, or a warlock, you can be a woman and call yourself a warlock. That's your business and that's your prerogative. I'm arguing that feminists do not get to dictate and take over the magical community and say that this word witch is for woman. That's my argument.
Oh, well understood. I get it. Well understood. I also want to take this moment here. Now, Silver Ravenwolf, the author, is also a friend of mine. And in one of her books, she makes a statement that I disagree with. And this is a good time to talk about it, I guess. The statement is about satanic witch. She said that there's no such thing as a satanic witch because witches don't believe in Satan. That's not my take. If you call yourself a satanic witch, I have no issues with that. You can call yourself whatever you want to, and I acknowledge that for you. Okay? I don't speak for my friend Silver. She can speak for herself. But I say that whatever you decide to call yourself that. Now, I identify as a witch. Now, hear me. There were not only women killed at the witch hunts. It's amazing to me how many female practitioners want to just run past that. Okay? That, there were some men killed too, but mostly women. If only one man was killed, it still don't mean that men were not witches that was killed in the witch hunt. If only one was killed, and we know there was more than that. In the Inquisitions, in the European witch hunts, we know that there was more than one man killed. Okay? And they weren't killed for the sake of warlockism. They were killed, they were called witches. Now, the irony of this is most of them probably weren't witches at all. Bridget Bishop was a devout Christian. Now, there are some people that says that she had puppets and things of that nature hidden in her hearth. We weren't there. We don't really know. But what we do know is that there was both men and women killed for the sake and the name of witchcraft. And we honor them. Okay, we remember them. My point is this. We are men witches, and we have every right to the circle as any female practitioner. And so we have to really start dealing with that and talking about that in a more honest way. We have to go back and explore the history. I love what you said, Orenda, about Gerald Gardner, Raymond Buckland, and Scott Cunningham. These men all considered themselves witches, and they've done so much for magic. In fact, magic wouldn't be what it is if it wasn't for these men. Aleister Crowley, Eliphas Levi, Dr. John Dee, Agrippa, and so many other men that practiced the craft in faith and in power. Now, I thank you, Orenda, for being with me on tonight. As you can see, she can go. I really hope that she do more of this and come and host my podcast for me sometime. Maybe if I ask her while y'all are listening, she'll say yes. Now, she's second in command at the Wintercrest Convent. So I know her capabilities and I know her skill set, her magical skill set. And so Wintercrest, those of you that know her, you know that she's not a weak witch, that she's a strong practitioner, and she don't mind standing up for what truth is. So we are grateful for you tonight, and hopefully we could do more of these. I'm getting ready to get off here. I'm gonna go out and do some magic in this about 1 o'clock where I am. We're gonna do some magic in the back, and then later on tonight we're going to WitchCon. Hope to see some of you there, and we'll be celebrating with over 100 different presenters, witches from all over the world, and I look forward to that. It is time for us to support each other in the craft. Well, this is Abijah and
Orenda.
And you've been listening to Wintercrest Podcast. Until next time, blessed be.
Yeah. Cold air, bright flame, hit a crest when we enter. When the crest covers circle tight, we remember. Power in the whispers, protection in the spell. Etching in our bloodline, yeah, we know it well. Strong minds, strong hearts, every sigil intentional. Love keeps us guarded, magic multidimensional. We rise together, no throne, no lone caster. Sisters and brothers, every spell cast faster. Ice in the wind, but the bonds stay warm. Through shadow and storm, we transform. This ain't fear, this is faith in motion. When the crest covered, strength, love, devotion.